There's a theme here. Teachers make impact. In fact, this week's phenomenal woman was inspired by a teacher, worked in the engineering industry, and then returned back to the classroom to become a woman similar to the one she was inspired by.
I did not run across any women in engineering when I was here at A&T for my undergraduate.
Years later, Dr. Stephanie Luster Teasley is changing the face of STEM at North Carolina A&T. Oftentimes people assume when maybe you're attending a historically black college or university that, oh, all the professors are more than likely African American, but in this case, it's not so true.
Right, it's not true. The majority of our STEM programs are not African American.
Dr. Luster Teasley says more minorities are needed in these fields to diversify the industry and inspire others.
In elementary school, I got excited about science because I had an African American female science teacher that made it seem really interesting and something that a woman could do.
She says that's where her passion started.
I'm a teacher at heart. And so I wanted to teach at a HBCU after I worked in industry for a little while. I was an environmental engineer for 2 years at 2 different environmental consulting firms. Came to A&T in 2004, fell in love with teaching.
She spent the last 15 years in the Department of Civil, Architectural, and Environmental Engineering as a professor and department chair before moving into her new role as the university's undergraduate education vice provost.
I was the first African American woman at A&T to have 3 patents, including one that's 2 that are international. So I have a US, a UK, and a Canadian patent for a water treatment technology.
Dr. Luster Teasley says she isn't the only Teasley on campus making an impact in STEM departments.
My oldest is a graduate student here in computer science, and he actually finished his BS degree here, and my youngest is a junior in industrial engineering. And I brought them into the lab so they could see, okay, mom is balancing work and teaching, and she's in the lab. They were there when I came up with my patents, and so they really saw and they were inspired by what I did. And so now I think they just have a different perspective on seeing women in STEM.
She says few women are able to stay on this journey, balancing being a caretaker and a professor. But the program she co-founded, Girls in Science Lab, was her key to success and success of hundreds of others.
We brought in middle school girls to work in our labs to learn how to use the different types of equipment that our same college students were using to solve cases.
Now, she sees some of those same young ladies on campus earning STEM degrees.
When you come up with a project or an idea, you never know if it's going to be successful. And just knowing that for 3 years we had these young ladies coming in to see us every summer, and seeing that they said, okay, yeah, we can do this. And now they're becoming chemists and engineers. It's just so rewarding.
Yeah, Dr. Luster Teasley, so when I was speaking with her, I didn't realize this. A lot of women who decide to become professors, they're first associate professors. And as associate professors, in order to get the title as a professor, you have to do research. But oftentimes when you have students who are inspired by you, you spend so much time with them that you can't dedicate it to research. So what she did was do research that gave back to the community, so she did both at the same time. And I just didn't realize that as a female, as just any inspiring professor, you oftentimes just dedicate so much, you may not have time for your actual responsibilities. So most times, most people don't stick out the career because they just can't do it all.
That is really interesting. This story makes me think about my sister. She's actually an engineer for Duke Energy, and she went to A&T for undergrad and for grad school. And what inspired her to go was meeting other women who went to A&T for engineering. One of my dad's friends is an engineer that went there. So that exposure at a young age can really determine what you do with your life.
Yeah, you took away what I was about to say, because I call it the look up to factor, and that's important. There's value in someone that students can look up to, because then the students give them a little more credibility and they listen to them and pay attention, and she is so accomplished. There's a lot of value there.
Yeah, and to think that she did all of this while being a mom, I mean, way to go. What an inspiration to other moms. I don't think that I ever realize until I became a mom myself how hard it is to balance everything in life. And she has patents, y'all. She is amazing.
Yeah, I thought it was
off to
even
her.
cool how she said that she would bring her sons into the lab with her. And I know that was planting seeds for them because now they're in STEM fields as well. But I just was like, wow, what a mom. And also she's just still doing great things. And, you know, she sees students on campus who just look up to her. So it really is powerful.
Love the story.
Yeah,
No.
that's phenomenal. Nice job, Monique. Thank you.